Hey everybody, this video is a contribution to the UBI discussion, that is to say the universal base income. I find it interesting that all of a sudden we pass this line of demarcation where a politician, literally one of their talking points was, you vote for me and I'll pay you $1,000 a month. I can't remember who the economist was. Maybe it was George Orwell. He's not an economist. But they described that the turning point for the political system was when people discovered that they could vote for their own direct benefits. And then that was the beginning of the end of democracy. The problem, to go back to what Shafe said in his most recent video, what problem does it solve? In the case of what Andrew Yang proposed, he surmised that 1 out of 3 Americans, I don't know how this would be globally, and maybe Sned, you have some resources on that, but 1 out of 3 Americans, their job would actually be eliminated due to automation. Yang has, I think, a great respect for artificial intelligence. When he was on the Rogan podcast doing a long-form interview, what he fixated on was the number of over-the-road truck drivers in the United States. Just that number itself was very, very high. And that's one of the jobs that stood the greatest chance of being replaced. The point he used for success of this program was how people from Alaska receive a dividend from oil production. Success stories such as that. I like what you said, Chafe, about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. I think there's a healthy part to that. It's a perspective and a life philosophy that things like too much of benefit, sitting like you're the king of Siam and people just bring you food and bring you money when you're otherwise capable is, in my opinion, not healthy. It goes against what we're built for. Runs anathema to our evolution. I will say, though, at the risk of beating a dead horse, it's scary times. With minimum wage vote being $15, why not make minimum wage $50? Like what Shall Not Be Infringed was saying. How about I give everybody $60,000 and a sex robot? Why not vote for me? During the Great Depression, Franklin Roosevelt is famous for saying, we're going to have to give everybody a little bit of socialism so as to prevent the influx of a lot of socialism. I think we're facing a time to where we may end up with a lot of socialism. I don't think that possibility is set in stone. If you speak to some of these Gen Z, these young people, they're very smart, but you got to level with them, and you got to have logic. You got to make sense. And it harkens back to my father-in-law used to always talk about his civics class that he had in the 60s. And this is where I have maybe my own unique version of hope. In that civics class, he spent the first 9 weeks of the course convincing everyone about Marxism, convincing everyone about communism. And Jim would say, yeah, and man, by the time he was done, you were sold out. You were ready for that program. And then he spent the rest of the course tearing it down, looking at its flaws. And then for lack of a better term, the capitalist economy ends up making sense. I would say that we need to be prepared to criticize capitalism, applying some Marxist comments or Marxist philosophies in context, and be honest with them. But that is where we're at, I think. And looking forward to whatever anybody else has to contribute to this. I think it's pretty good. I certainly mean no offense to anybody that takes a draw. And all right, catch y'all later.